Hi, and welcome back to Brentwood Stories. In today's episode, Celia and I speak with Eric DRC. Eric worked as a patron of the Brentwood Library during his high school years, then later served our country as a member of the Marines, and now works for a solar energy company. Eric also works alongside his wife in her newly founded business. Listen to Eric's fascinating journey all right now. Enjoy.
So my name is Eric DRC. I worked at the Brentwood Public Library. I believe it was years 2004 to 2005 or 2005 to 2006. And then currently right now, I am a regional warehouse manager for a solar company. So I handle multiple warehouses. I'm also the purchasing agent for that company. So anything that gets purchased as far as materials or office wise, that goes through me. United States Marine Corps veteran. I served back in 2007 to 2011. Currently have 3 children. One is 12 years old. She's about to be 13. That's my oldest. I have a 7-year-old and I have a 4-year-old, and they are all currently enrolled in school. And I do have a fiance as well. Her name is Jesslyn.
So nice to meet you, Eric. When you were working over at the Brentwood Library, what did you do?
So at the Brentwood Public Library, I was a page. General scope, making sure that the warehouses or the library is in neat and orderly fashion, making sure that all the books and whatnot are in the appropriate sections, and just assisting the patrons that come into the Brentwood Public Library as well, helping them with access or finding something.
So how did you wind up working at the library?
It's actually funny. Another page. She was my next door neighbor. We've been lifelong friends. Her mother has been a lifelong friend of my mother's as well. Joanne Francis. She had mentioned that she was working at the library and said that she had there was good support. There was opportunities to grow within the library as well. Address some perks to me and during that time frame, I was also with the Brentwood wrestling program, and I was working at McDonald's over in East Islip, so it was extremely difficult for the commute and the limited hours. And she just just opened up the door, explained everything to me, and that's how I ended up at the library.
I remember you wrestling, being on the wrestling team. I remember you desperately trying to make weight sometimes. And so I can't even imagine working at McDonald's when you're a wrestler. That must have been torture.
Yeah. It was very difficult. I will tell you that much. It's very difficult.
I remember in circulation when you worked with me, we always had food in the back, and then we always felt bad when you came in on your shift.
We used to come in eating. They would ask me what my dinner was, and I'd either pull out a banana, an apple, and an orange. So I used to get some laughs, used to get some weird stares as well, because they were kind of like, "Are you serious?" But that was high school for me. It was a chunk of it was dedicated to wrestling.
I look back as we did these interviews for pictures of pages. Sometimes we had staff appreciation dinners or events at the library with staff, and you're not in a single picture. And I remembered you saying, "I'm not even walking in the door. I got to make weight."
Yeah, I did try to rummage through some pictures or some memories, some boxes. But I couldn't come a hold of anything. I do know that we have a page reunion group. So there's a couple of pages where we all chatter on social media, and we get together every now and then. So there's some pictures thrown back and forth there. But it seems as if maybe I was not the most photogenic person.
So why did you join the Marines?
Two different reasons. When the Twin Towers, or September 2001, I was in middle school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the fear, I saw the havoc that it put into people's hearts. And I think at that point in time, I just kind of I felt that there was a calling. I specifically chose the United States Marine Corps because I felt like it was the biggest challenge that I would face. I've always been a person to take a challenge head on. So that was the one of the main factors. I also did have one of my older brothers. He served in the United States Marine Corps.
Mhm.
So seeing him and seeing what the Marine Corps had did to him at a young age, and how it had built him up or gave him foundation to become a man, was very was something that was very encouraging to myself.
Your family owned a karate studio in Brentwood, or
So
actually Bay Shore it would be? Is that?
it's Brentwood Road, It's considered Bay Shore.
Mhm.
However, that area, it is Brentwood students. Um, my father had that storefront. He actually closed down in the midst of COVID. There was a lot of issues. We were going to be out of business for quite some time, but still be responsible to make payments on
Right.
different things. So, he had a long run. I will give him that. He had a long run. Started off in the gym in the backyard and then built a business front. He operated the business front for 20 plus years. I do say my father was a pillar, definitely a pillar in the Brentwood community. He went out of his way to accept people that could not afford um, the monthly tuition. And he had mentioned, and he had, continuously mentioned to myself and the rest of the family that at some point in time, we have to realize that when you keep a child off of the streets and you give them something to build towards, um, you might not have the monetary compensation, but there's definitely a different type of compensation. So he was very keen on that. I do think that he was a strong pillar. And my brother actually followed his footsteps. My brother owns a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing academy. Yeah, we've been in the with the martial arts business for quite some time.
I figured that probably had to be a real positive with going into the Marines. And I see some of the footage of you fighting. I have a niece that's a world-class MMA fighter. And I know there's a lot of discipline involved. And we do try to get some of those kids in the community who maybe have lost their way or single parent family, and they need that discipline in their life to participate in the martial arts. It really gives that. And I do remember your father, and he definitely is a pillar in this community. Definitely is. So how long did you instruct for your father as well, or no?
Yes, I did. So I started at the age of 6 years old. I received my Korean certification black belt at the age of 13. I was teaching at the age of 12 as a red belt. I was teaching the
Wow.
younger students. Um, yeah, I was. I'll be honest. I was in foster care for quite some time. So they adopted me, Francis and Martin. I do call
Hmm.
them dad. But I had a lack of self-discipline, a lack of self-control, lack of self-esteem through the circumstances that I was dealt with as a child. And Taekwondo really took every error that I could potentially see in myself and was able to correct it. And correct it quite quickly. So yes, at the age of 12, I was teaching. I taught all the way up until my departure into boot camp. And then upon the return from the Marine Corps, I actually taught as well. And I received my second degree black belt. That was an American certification, however, after the Marine Corps. And then I continued to teach not only Taekwondo, but I taught wrestling, kickboxing, and then I also cardio programs for my father.
But that had to be a huge asset going into the Marines.
It was. I actually I took a Marine Corps martial arts program a few different times. I assisted with a lot of developing and training of Marines. I was responsible for the physical fitness training of a specific category of Marines as well during my time. Um, And I will be honest, the Brentwood wrestling program and my father's Taekwondo program really made boot camp quite the breeze. I was blowing past a lot of individuals, um, uh, including my drill instructors. As far as being physically fit, Taekwondo and wrestling, especially the Brentwood wrestling program with Coach Knapp. Definitely.
That was the question I was going to ask, because Coach Nappy is all over the internet right now. Only one loss this season. They want to induct him into the Sports Hall of Fame. And that was one of my questions for you. Was he your coach when you wrestled?
He was my coach all the way up into my junior year. My senior year, so I'm going to say it, and then obviously we could talk about it after, however it wants to be edited. I had some issues my senior year. I don't know if you remember, but there was actually, I was walking with Molly and another individual to the library for work, and I was attacked by a few different
I do. Yes.
people. One of those individuals, and I tell you, the world goes round. I ended up training the individual, but one of those, my junior year, approached my class. It was in the science wing with a knife and threatened me, and I actually attempted to run outside and go fight the person. I have been told that's not the smartest idea. However, I did not want to constantly be worried or thought of to be a victim in the school. So I stood my ground. And from that point forward, it made it extremely difficult for me to pursue my senior year with Brentwood. So I actually had to transfer to a private school for my senior year. Kind of messed up my whole wrestling endeavors and goals that I had. I missed out on my whole senior year with my Brentwood wrestling team that they ended up going to states, nationals.
Yeah.
It was definitely a tough loss for me. But like I said, life goes around. I got out of the Marine Corps. That individual ended up doing a prison sentence upstate. They came back and talked to my father about getting into the martial arts as a form of rehabilitation and discipline. And my father had informed me that he needed me to train with someone. And when
wow.
I had saw the person, and I looked at my father and was like, I cannot believe this is going on. But worked past it. Obviously I had served in the Marine Corps. I had went overseas. I had lost a few friends. So I had thought life to be very, very short, and to no longer hold grudges against people. So it is still something that I'm looking back on, I'm not very happy of. I did want to graduate with Brentwood. It's I would have loved to have been a Brentwood graduate. I genuinely, that's something that I hold dear to my heart.
What a wonderful story.
Now, Celia is nice enough to share some information about some of the veterans outreach work that you do. You assist veterans with benefits and claims in your spare time. It seems like you recently opened up a facility within your own home, a workout facility for veterans to come. So is that just a result of your service that you became so involved with the veterans outreach?
It's definitely involved with the service. I see, over the course of time, I have seen different generations of veterans. I have worked alongside them. I have assisted, and I genuinely think that there's not enough support for those returning, especially from a war zone. And I believe that when certain individuals step up and understand a system or understand how to assist within programs, I believe that it's me as a veteran, it's tough because it's a form of PTSD. When you get out of active duty, you still have this fight or flight, or the adrenaline of having to do something or have to keep yourself busy. And I felt that obviously this outlet I know I struggle with. So I know I struggle, and I know that I've overcome a lot of obstacles. So I believe that I should take that and become a beacon to other veterans.
You just purchased your home, right?
Recently? I just purchased my home back in October of last year. I went through the Veterans United Home Loan Program.
And I see that little by little, we're friends on Facebook, and little by little, I see you building up that home gym, and I see the crowd getting bigger and bigger working out with you.
Yes, I actually reached out to a caseworker over at the VA in Northport. My contact information, and for veterans that I go to certain groups and classes with, I offer that to them. There is no charge to it. My door is always open to them. Um, I am up at all hours of the night. So I also inform them that when individuals struggle or individuals with a substance abuse issue, at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, they cannot sleep, or they feel that they may potentially do something that they would regret the next day, that they have an outlet, that they reach out. If they have wheels, if they do not have wheels, I have wheels. I will come pick you up. I will come bring you over to my home and work out. I hold kicking pads and shields. So if you don't want to lift weights or you don't want to run, you can let off your aggression in a different type of manner as well.
So I found really incredibly interesting seeing you talk about Jessley and some of the endeavors that you took on during COVID, particularly the event planning business. So tell us a little bit about that, because as I saw some of the events that were hosted during COVID and how you separated out tables and families, and it just was mind blowing to me how quickly the business started up and how it really just progressed.
So my fiance, I call her my wife. So excuse me if I interchange those. We've been together for this year would be a decade. So my wife, while she was a medical assistant, she also worked at a restaurant called Milk and Sugar on Main Street. She knew the owners, so she had worked with them for quite some time, and then the Victorian Room, and then they had changed it over, and she had at that point she had branched off and full force into the medical field, but she had always kind of had hinted at, I was always really good at this and multitasking. So one day the owner, Lenny, had reached out to us, and he was doing catering services. It was a barbecue catering service. So he'd reached out to us, asked us he had reached out to her, and he had asked her if he could make some money on the side. Obviously, we agreed to it, and she went and did it. And when she came home, she's showing me the money, and in my head, I'm going, wow, over the course of time, or how the hours you spent there and the money that you made, I said, okay, this could be lucrative. So then the next opportunity that arose, she had asked if I could tag along, and Lenny had said, yeah. So I tagged along, and then we became the dynamic duo. He looked at us and said, you guys are amazing. You guys work together amazing. So can you guys continue to do this? So we continue to do it for him as a subcontracting, and then we had a private client that had reached out to us, and we looked at each other and said, you know what, let's try this. So we had one huge July 4th event. It was a birthday and a July 4th celebration combination. The event went off with no issues, and when we went home with over $1,500. So to me, for a day's worth of work and $1,500, it boggled my mind. I drew up a business plan, and I asked my fiance, I gave her the business plan, and I asked her if she could fill everything out within a month's time frame and have everything specifically tailored to how she wanted to operate the business, that I would go 100% with her in operating it. She came back to me within a couple of days. We had that filled out, and we went from there. That was we started back in late of 2018. 2019 was really trying to build up the clientele, and then 2019, COVID and everything came about. We thought the business was going to tank because we had just started, and because of all of the restrictions. But it actually did the reverse. So since all of the venues shut down, individuals that could house events at their private residences were still doing that. But what we did was our business is called New Standard Event Planner. So we tried to set a new standard, especially during the COVID scenario. And what we did was we made sure that at events we had binders where people were signed in and checked, so that way we had the capability to inform anyone after the events if there was any
contact tracing before we started even contact tracing.
we had an entrance booth that had custom hands. So we print up labels for the event, and then we'd wrap it around hand sanitizer. We had face masks with stuff printed on the face mask. And then we ensured that tables were minimized with individuals. And then we just we tailored it and made sure that we had enough space to keep everyone safe. And if from us doing something like that, and we didn't charge for the COVID booth, so we just had to understand that that was a hit that we had to take. But with us doing that, it actually that and one of our clients actually helped assist with making our business expand tenfold. And we took the whole COVID scenario, and I understand it was a negative scenario for 95% of the population. But for us in the specific business world, it actually we did well, and we grew during that time period.
Wow. So tell us how you got into solar, and working for a solar company.
So you know what, a unique scenario. I had no, I have always, the green industry, I know it's up and coming. I have multiple friends that have, they have tried to encourage me into stocks and this and that. I genuinely, I understand renewable energy. I know how it works. I've also seen the devastation on a grand scale of natural resources such as oil spills in my time in service, and going out to foreign countries and using generators and oil spills and gas leaks, so I could see the effect of it. So I kind of always just kind of dabbled in like research. But this position in the middle of COVID, I was working about 80 to 90 hours in a shipping and receiving company, and my whole staff was eliminated. And I went from a staff of about 6 people and 10 temps to just myself and a few temps to operating a 100,000 square foot facility with multiple contracts.
Wow.
And I was leaving my home at 4:30 in the morning to get to the facility at 6, and I wasn't getting home until about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And at that point in time with my children, I felt like I was back in the military, and it just did not make sense to me. And the compensation didn't make sense as well. And for me, my children have to be the most important thing in the world to me. So for me to leave before they wake up, and for me to come home when they're already sleeping, really, really affected me. And at that point in time, I had put in my resume. A solar company had reached out. They couldn't initially accommodate the request that I was making for the interviews because of the shift that I was working. But the owner actually reached out to the HR manager and said, "You have to be kidding me. This guy, his resume looks amazing. He's there's something about this guy." So they accommodated and made a video teleconference. Ended up showing me the facilities on a weekend of where I was going to be working, and asked me if I could do it. And then they gave me a $20,000 raise. So
wow.
There you go.
I jumped into it, and it worked out. God willingly, it worked out in the right time. Without this position, I would not have had the capability to look at my physical and mental health with the VA. I would not have had the capability to take care of my family and my children, and I would not have had the capability to purchase this home. So I'll be frank, but the company I work for is Venture Solar. I have never seen, and mind you, the Brentwood Public Library was the only other place, and that's specifically you, that I've actually seen people look out for their employees. But I have never seen a corporate type business as much as Venture actually look out for their employees. And they have given me the capability to do what needs to be done on my end.
That's awesome. Now, I had not seen you for probably a good 10 years and was passing the circulation area, and I saw you. It had to be almost a decade ago or so, or at least 5 or 6 years, getting a library card for your son. And it kind of blew my mind that there you were.
You know, my son, we still have, so I had some issues with their home purchase. It was, New York State said it was listed as Medford. The United States Postal Service in the school district, it's under Longwood or Quorum. So I had issues getting paperwork to get him a new library card for this district. But my son nonstop is a library enthusiast. Every chance that we pass that library, every chance that I go back to Brentwood and go see my mother-in-law and we pay, he is, that's the Brentwood Library, that's the Brentwood Public Library. He is so my fiance brought him there when prior to COVID, on the weekends when there was events for the children to do story times, different art projects. And he, as a young kid, got his library card. It was so funny. It's just so funny thinking of how small he was, and now seeing him now as a 7-year-old. But he books, he reads well above his grade level. The school is actually, or his school district, his teachers are very shocked with it. What my fiance did by bringing him, and what the Brentwood Public Library did by offering these programs and allowing these events to go on, really gave him a foundation for learning. And he took that and did not stop. But he talks about it, and I feel bad because we have to explain to him that we have to, now that we're in a new district, we have to go. And he kind of, but I like that one. I like Brentwood, so it is very funny. And my daughter now, she's 4, but she's in pre-K. And she also is, she was asking us about it as well, because my son obviously had the library card. So she was asking when she was going to be getting hers. But yeah.
I remember seeing Jess Lee and the kids in, several times. And I remember telling your son, your dad used to work for me. But remember, that Suffolk County library card is good in any library. So you can still come to Brentwood and check out items at the library. Your friend and neighbor Frances, I see her and her 2 daughters. They've come in and taken pictures for me for some programs. I love that our former employees who especially started out as teens come back with their kids and enjoy the services of the library. That just really warms my heart. I really enjoy seeing that.
I think that's I think that's one of the biggest how do I word this correctly? A positive like a positive outcome from working at the library is understanding the resources that are offered, understanding the facility, understanding the different sections, just the knowledge. There's a lot of individuals that don't know that the libraries offer all of these programs. It's really just go in, take a book, check it out, bring it back. But that's not the case. And also post-military, when I got out of the service, I was at the library often. Doing my resume, I went straight into Suffolk Community College, and I was doing work at the library as well. So there was hiring events, there was job fairs. So there's so many different resources, and I think that from working there, I was able to understand that, or gain the knowledge, and that definitely brought me back to the library, and brought not just myself, but my family.
That's awesome.
Great.
Peter, do you have any questions?
I suppose going back to just library resources, or just resources in general that you think people should be aware of, especially with your work with veterans. Is there any sort of organization or service that you tend to refer to your fellow veterans that you think that other folks should know about in case that they need any help?
So specifically for the veterans, so for individuals, I did serve with individuals that are still currently in, or they served longer than me. So when they're departing from the military, I normally do get they normally do reach out. A few individuals will reach out and say, hey, what was it like with the transition? I will always mention the library as a key point, where whatever state they're really going. It's not just obviously New York State, but I always do mention that. I do mention to the veterans as far as libraries. It's like a one-stop shop. You have I inform them normally. You go to library, you go to the one-stop or the employment center or the Department of Labor.
Mhm.
And then I normally tell them to look at just local, because I know that veterans always have or allotted education benefits. So anyone looking to get out of the military, obviously, it pays to go to school as well. So when you go to school, they're not only paying for your school, but they're giving you a monthly allowance. So for veterans that are getting out and don't have a job already situated, or don't really know what they're going to be doing, they have the opportunity just to go into general studies, a general studies program at a community college, and get paid an immense amount of money to be able to survive until they can lock in a position or figure out where they want to go. So I always the one-stop employment center, it would be, or the Department of Labor. I always do mention the library as a resource guide. I think that for me, I was more so at the library more than I was at the Department of Labor, just because of the fact that there was courses that were being held there, job fairs, and there was staff there, and it was just local for me. So it just made it extremely simple. And then the VA for veterans specifically, I come from a class where back in 2000, when I left the military, the VA was not doing so well, and there were actually a lot of veterans administrations that were under federal investigation. Since then, that has been completely changed over, and there has been massive restructuring on that side. And I've had the best medical care that I can say provided by the VA. So I do always mention to the veterans, regardless of what you think or what you hear, go to the VA yourself. Go to the specific sections that you're supposed to go. They have different departments for different eras of war, and speak to those caseworkers, and they will definitely point you in the right direction.
So did you take advantage of the educational opportunities given to you as a veteran?
Yes, I did. I took advantage right when I returned home. That following spring semester, I had enrolled into Suffolk Community College. I received my associates in a little less than a year and a half, and I was just accepted to St. Joseph's. So I'm returning to St. Joseph's in the fall to finish up my bachelor's, and I am running that through the military benefits as well.
Excellent. Very good. I
Cool.
think that's all the questions I had. Is there
Yeah.
anything else, Eric, that you want to tell us about yourself or your family, or anything else you'd like to mention?
Well, I do think, well, I mean, I just as a recommendation, to any individual within Brentwood, or where there is a library, or any individual that has children or parents that have children. I definitely do feel that there's so many benefits to bringing your child to the library. There's so many different programs. There's not just books, there's computers, there's toys, Legos, Build It, train sets. There's different things that you could do with your child, not just to teach learning of mathematics or reading, but cognitive skills as well, sensory skills. There's so many things that you could develop with your child or with yourself. And I highly recommend for individuals to just go seek out the library, go check it out, go see the different sections, see what's offered. And I think when you do that, for the individuals that are kind of complacent or comfortable with their life, you end up doing something so small or so minute. It's, just a trip to the library, but it could end up changing your life wholeheartedly. Right now, my end goal is to go into I want to become an attorney. That's what I'm seeking my bachelor's, and then after that to go into a law program. But I believe that on my off hours or on dead time, I was able to pick up a book. I was able to go throughout the library and actually read and learn and educate myself. And I believe that just something as small as that set a dream or goal much larger. So for those that feel like maybe they have a fear of doing, something or setting a huge goal, start off with something as little as maybe getting to the library once a week and then see where that progresses. And I guarantee after about a month or so, you're going to end up trying to do something more with yourself.
That's awesome.
A really quick question before I let you go, and this is just like completely side question that I'm just personally curious about here. How was the house hunt for you?
How was the what?
The house hunt, searching for the house. Was that a?
So I had, it was unique. It was actually really quick. In August, I sat down and said, I am purchasing a home. I had reached out to the Veterans United home loan team. They had given me a full staff. So they gave me a loan coordinator. They gave me a full caseworker. They gave me the real estate agent. They gave me the inspector. So they provided everyone, the full team. I wasn't a difficult person to deal with because I had a real estate license prior to going. Actually, my senior year, I had a real estate license. So I kind of know the ins and outs of it. So I specifically told the real estate agent these were the properties or this is what I was specifically looking for. And then I went and looked at the properties because I still had MLS access. So 10 years later, I don't know how they did not realize that they didn't take off my access, but I was still looking at properties in Long Island. So I showed her the physical properties we wanted to see. This was the first house, the first physical house that we walked into. The first house that we went to go see, they were actually having an open house, but they were doing something that was illegal. So they had an open house, but they were already under contract. And when I showed up to the open house, the guy had said he was under contract. I said, well, what you're doing is illegal. You can't really do that. And then he says, oh, well, what are you, an agent? And I said, well, no, I had my license about a decade ago. And guy was like, you can't really do that. But right now, I guess there are so many people that are overbidding on properties that it's a dirty market right now. But luckily this home, we went in, I had to upbid on the home. The purchase price was $369. I had to offer the gentleman $389. But luckily, because the VA home loan, they require so I'm not allowed to basically, they asked us to sign a waiver for an appraisal waiver. The VA home loan will not allow you to do that.
Okay.
So we went under contract at $389, but when the VA home loan came back and appraised the house at $370, what was it, $370, babe? $369? Oh, forgive me. No, $370. They messed it up. They came back at $370. I technically can do two things. I could either pull myself out of the contract or I can come up with the additional $19,000 in cash. I told the seller that I was not going to come up with an additional $19,000. So it was either he continue with the contract or he pull himself out of the contract, have to go through the whole process and then continue to pay property taxes.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't, I didn't purchase the home from a homeowner. I purchased the home from a remodeling company. So they had the property for about 2.5 years. So at that point they said, you know what, he's under contract. We know he's good for it. He's already approved. They said, give it to him for that price. So I ended up saving $19,000 on
Ooh, that's big.
and we went into, there was a little hiccup because I had we were supposed to close September 15th, but we ended up closing October 7th because I had a chunk of money in my account, but they they pretty much to source the income, I was taking cash at like a month prior to that and throwing a whole bunch of cash into my account. And obviously with the sourcing, that became an issue. So it's like 2 extra weeks for us to go through closing. It was a simple process, but I do recommend doing your research, because right now the market, it's just that they put the listing out, and when you physically contact to make an offer, they've already received multiple up offers. So it's you got to be diligent. You got to be super diligent.
I'm looking for a house right now, so this is relevant information.
This is a bad time, Peter.
It's not the best time, but it's the time I need to buy a house.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was it. Eric, thank you so much for coming in and speaking with us today. I really appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much for your service, and really just best of luck to you moving forward. I really, you've got so many accomplishments behind you, and you haven't let that stop you. You still have much more on your plate moving forward, and that's great to see. So best of luck to you. Hope that we can maybe reconnect again soon, and stop by the library sometime and we'll chat.
Definitely. Hey, it's so weird calling you Celia. By the way, so I was not aware of that. So even if he has a library card from Quorum, he's still
it's good in any Suffolk County library. They just restrict you with some programming. Sometimes, they restrict their children's programming to their residents only, but your card is good in any library. So you can walk into any library and check out books, videos, and partake in services.
Okay.
So they can come to Brentwood and check out books, and you can return them anywhere.
Yeah.
So anywhere. You don't have to come back to Brentwood to return them. You return them to your own library.
I still have a chunk of family that lives in Brentwood, and they're always calling me. So we're there. So we definitely be stopping by. I want to thank you, both of you, so much for your time today and allowing me to speak with everyone on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again to Eric for sharing your story with everyone listening at home. And thank you as always to the Brentwood Historical Society for making today's episode possible. Today's music was brought to you by Dr. Turtle. You may listen to his album, Jonah's Message for New York, on freemusicarchive.org.